All right, let's do a quick and dirty data analysis of HPLC software. As you can see, I've already logged in and opened up the post-run analysis software on our HPLC system. And I'm going to use one of the international group's data as an example. So first of all, you can see where we select our files. So over here, the first thing I want to do is, of course, select the group I'll be working with. I want to work with group 4, so I won't be changing it, but you can click here to get the most recently used ones if you can't find your group. If you click this lovely little button here, we then get a file explorer and we can select international, Danish, so on, find the group that fits with what we want to use. But I'm going to start with group 4. And what I tend to do is, when I get fresh data, first I open up one of the high concentration standards. So we're just going to grab one of the standard 4s, and we're going to have a look at the data that we have there. So as we can see, we do have some peaks. The baseline on the 230 nanometer is a bit slanted, so it increases as methanol concentration changes. So the first thing I want to do is I want to remove any background. Luckily, somewhere over here, let's just go to the files again. At the bottom, we have our blanks here. So I basically want to remove a blank. So up on the right here, I can select background data file. And then I just scroll down and find, oh, where did it go? I select one of my blanks, click open. And then to save myself some time, I'm going to put a pin in it. So whenever I open up a data file, it's going to subtract that blank. So if I open up a different, let's say we take one of the other standards. Right now, I'm not going to save anything. It's going to open and then subtract. So if we now look at our data, we can see the peaks more clearly. What we can also see is that the software detects a lot of peaks. All of these red markings here are peaks. All of the stuff over here is peaks. So that means our output peak table here has so many, oh, sorry about that, has so many different peaks. So we're going to try and change that a bit. The way you do that is in the bottom right, so down here. I have the option of starting to change how I'm actually detecting peaks. Now my main issue right now is the 230. I'm finding so many extra peaks. So I'm going to switch it over to 230 to start with. And then I'm going to first edit and then go into program to select where I want to integrate from. So this new window pops up. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say for time 0, I want to turn integration off. And then the first peak is about 7.5 minutes. So let's say from 7 minutes, I want to start integration or start peak detection. Then I can continue on to, let's say 8 minutes and say, okay, after 8 minutes, I actually don't want to integrate any longer. Continue on until about 17.5 minutes. Let's try 17 minutes. Oh, wrong one. And I want to turn integration on again. And again, I want to turn it off after, let's say, 20 minutes or so. So I say integration off. Now, the software has a bit of a weird thing because in order for it to update, I just have to click in one of these boxes and just press enter. And suddenly we can see that it stops finding a lot of peaks. Something has clearly gone wrong. I just have to check. Might have been too aggressive. Integration on. Let's push it to 9 minutes to start with. Let's see how that works out. That's a bit better. And I might have to start at 16 minutes. Oh, and it's wrong. I had to select integration on. There we go. Then it might be fine at 17. There we go. Let's try an update. So now I'm only finding 1, 2, 3, 4 peaks instead of all of the ones I had before. So that's the first step, is to just say I'm only interested in integrating in this area and in this area. And if I'm a bit clever, before I do anything else, I can ask to copy it to all channels. and it'll ask, do I want to copy the time program as well? Yes, please. And if we do that, we can see, if we go to our data, we can actually see that all of the ones over here disappeared as well. So if I want to do it or change more, I can, for instance, change how much of an area do I need before I call it a peak. So we can just try, let's try 3000. See what happens. If you look here, it only detects 2 peaks. I'm happy. If I look at the other wavelength, so I'm just gonna go to, where is it, 270. If we look at our peak table, we can see that over here we also only have 2 peaks. Easier to see here. We also only have this peak and this peak detected. So at this point, I'm happy with how it's detecting the peaks. Normally what I would do is I would just check with the lowest standard concentration. So I'm gonna take the changes I've made now, and I'm gonna save my method as. Then it's gonna ask me, do I want to apply the changes I've made? Yes, please do. And then I'm gonna say, okay, I'm gonna save it in group force folder, calling it data. I'm gonna save it, data processing, all good. Now, we now try and open up one of the low concentrations, don't want to save data files. It subtracts the blank as we intended to, and then I'm gonna load my method parameters, select the data file I just created, and say, please open this. And it's gonna ask what I want to import. I just want to import everything. And we can see it's not perfect at the low concentrations, because if we look at the data, I'm still getting multiple peaks. So I can try and see if I can change something to make that better. We can go, so in our 270, maybe if we change it to 1500, then we only get 1 peak. If we go to our 23 nanometers, we're still getting some slightly weird results here. Maybe 17 to 17 to 20 should be fine. We can try and change the slopes a bit. This is, well, mostly okay. So it's not always that you can get it perfectly so you don't have any peaks you're not interested in, but we can try and play around a bit more. Right now I'm looking at the left-hand peak. There we go. So this could be an option. Now I only get the peaks I'm interested in. Of course, since I've made changes, I have to go to the files, and where is it? Save method as. Apply, yes, and I'll just override the one, yes. So at this point we have a standard method to do our data treatment, and we could then open up one of the other files manually. Once it's opened, I can load method parameters, select this one and open, apply it, and it gives me the results. So now I have to export my data. The data I'm interested in is the table here. So I can click it, copy it, put it into Excel, and then remember to get it for both wavelengths. So we can go to 230 as well, get that peak table, copy that into Excel, and now I have all of the data that I need from the file standard 4.